It is time for This Week in Location-Based Marketing. We are at episode number 57. Recording this December 23rd, live between Asif and myself. By the time you're listening to this, we get to be the first ones, maybe, to wish you a Merry Christmas. First podcast, anyways, to wish you a Merry Christmas. My name and a happy Boxing Day sale. How's that? Hopefully you're listening to us somewhere in a Best Buy buying a whole lot of electronics. My name, Rob Woodbridge from Untethered.tv. And always with me, 57 episodes into this, Mr. Asif Khan from the LBMA.
Asif Khan, Location-Based Marketing Association, and Merry Christmas from the LBMA to everybody as well. And hopefully you've got lots of geolocation deals that are hitting you right now to go do Boxing Day shopping everywhere. And for all those churches out there, I hope you got your GPS trackers in the baby Jesus, and that as they get stolen, you can find them. So there you go.
Exactly.
Lots of great services out there for it. I've saw so many stories on the news this week, on ABC and whatnot, about
stolen baby Jesuses
with GPS trackers, so that they can locate them. Anyhow.
See, this is why location-based technology is the coolest. You can find baby Jesus.
You can find baby Jesus.
Maybe there's like this massive theft ring.
The wise men do not have to look for the star anymore. They can just open up their mobile phone, and there you go.
And look,
baby Jesus can be located.
Well, there's got to be like a warehouse of all these stolen baby Jesuses, and cops descending on it because of GPS. It's a big raid, and I'd love to see that.
Yeah.
But this is really where NFC plays a real important role. I think that NFC chips will save the baby Jesuses next year.
Right.
Oh,
that's for a prediction show next week, bro.
It is. Well, I keep saying, it's going to be the year of NFC, and it's the reason why is we're going to be saving baby Jesus. This show is already off the rails. We jump right back on.
Anyways, we got a lot to cover as usual.
We do. We've got a whole bunch of stuff. We've got Brightkite news. We've got Layar, which is a great company in Europe. We've got Hallmark with a little bit of Billy Ray Cyrus. We won't sample it, but a little bit of Billy Ray Cyrus. We've got some funding news. Our resource of the week, our product of the week is Zarly, so we'll get into that. But we might as well jump, unless there's anything that you stopping us from moving right into the stories. Asif, is there something that happened this week?
No, all right. It's been a quiet week. I've been home. I've been shopping, and I'm done shopping and ready to go. So
yeah, you know what? You can tell me what you got your wife now, because it's after Christmas. If she's listening to this, she's already.
Oh, she's I told you she's getting an iPad and.
Not a playbook.
No playbooks here.
Well, apparently, like $2 million worth of playbooks were stolen from a truck. So I'd anticipate that a lot of people are going to be getting hot playbooks this year. It's probably maybe this was orchestrated by RIM so that they can actually get playbooks into somebody's hands.
It's possible.
No, they're not going to sponsor the show either.
They just don't need any more bad news. That's what I say. So.
All right. Well, let's jump right into the stories. And as I said, RIM is probably now not going to sponsor this. I think I limit our sponsorability. I don't know about you. It's all in jest, Rim. I love you. You're Canadian. Don't go away. Please stick around. Please.
Yeah, please. No. We want them around.
We love Canadian technology companies. So first story. Let's talk about this. Brightkite taking a little rest. I don't know. It's like a pause, a think. Like they ate too much turkey. They're kicking back. Got a little bit of nappiness. What's going on there?
I really, it actually caught me a little bit by surprise in some respects. I mean, we haven't heard from Brightkite, for a while. So, from that perspective, I'm a little bit surprised. Yeah, surprise is the word. So TechCrunch reported this story. They've pulled everything out of the Apple and Android stores, so you can no longer get Brightkite. And Brightkite's one of those companies. They were one of the original, location guys. Right when Foursquare and Gowalla and all these guys were just starting, and where, they were right there. They were one of the early guys. They got to about 2 million users.
Yep.
As of last year, anyways, they had about 2 million users at year end. So they were there. They were in the game, and then they pivoted. We talked about this on the show. They went from being a check-in platform to focusing on messaging, location-based messages, kind of group messaging, texting, all that kind of stuff, and sharing your location. And I don't know. I guess it
didn't work.
it didn't work, like a lot of things. And so they say, that they're just taking a break. They're shutting down the service for now, and that they'll be back. And we don't know what they're going to be back doing, but they'll be back apparently. And it's interesting because it's why don't you just come out and say, look, we're losing money. We can't afford to keep the doors open at the moment, doing what we're doing, and we're gonna lay off a bunch of people and conserve cash, and we'll be back as something else down the road. But just say that though. Come on.
It kind of reminds me of those restaurants that say closed for renovations.
Yeah.
6.5 months after they actually shut the doors, right? There's nothing wrong with facing this and facing the facts. Goala did it. They just did it in a different way. I mean, they just got jobs at Facebook instead of shutting down. It was the equivalent. Yeah. But it makes you wonder. I think that when we talked about Brightkite on the show, we weren't kind to this pivot, but we appreciated the fact that they needed to do these things to differentiate. The check-in economy was not something that check-in service was only an entry point into something far greater, and if they didn't capitalize on it, they weren't going to do anything with it. So maybe they waited too long, just like Goala, right? I think maybe they just waited a moment too long, and that whole market passed them by.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. I think it's we're in a world where when you launch a service like this, you got to go big, fast. Mm-hmm. It's all about speed, right? You got to get that massive user base. If that's the type of space that you're in, where you got an app-based solution and you're trying to drive revenue off of users, you got to have a lot of users, right? So you got to go big, you got to go fast, and if you can't get there, then you got to do something else, guys, because it's a dog-eat-dog world.
Yeah, positioning it as a rethink. My hope is that they come back with something, but pulling all of their apps, pulling all their infrastructure, shutting it all down, that's hard to restart. That's basically abandoning those 2 million users and rethinking what business you're in, which is not the best call, I would say, if you're going to open it up again. So it doesn't sound like the Brightkite will survive this. Oh well, another casualty.
There you go. Well, we expected some of those at the beginning of the year. We said there was going to be some failures and some mergers and some acquisitions, and there
have been all of those.
We've seen all of those. So
two of the first three gone, right?
Gone.
Yeah. So next year's Foursquare prediction show next week. That's the teaser. That's as good as we got.
Watch for it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Brightkite shuts down the service. Now, our second story here is a little bit more in line with probably the festive season, which is all about beer and beer glasses and beer steins and JiWire and Tennent Beer. Beer.
Yeah, beer. I really like this this partnership. Actually, it's so this is Tennent's lager. It's in Scotland. We don't talk about the Scottish as much as we talk about the British, but
beer.
The Scottish are doing this too. And they announced a partnership where basically they've partnered up with the STV News app. So STV is the leading commercial broadcaster in Scotland. So
of course they are, Asif.
Huge following.
Who doesn't know that?
Yeah, huge following. So I mean, some of our audience might not know that, but anyways, they huge following, sports, weather, usual broadcast portfolio, and they've got an app, and so basically they partnered up with this app and using the JiWire Compass ad network delivery system. They're basically pushing location-based ads and helping you find the closest pub, bar, restaurant that carries Tennent's lager. And it's the other cool part about it is that it's part of a kind of a bigger media campaign. So they've brought some kind of local celebrities into the mix to help promote this this campaign around Tennent's lager, and they've got this slogan they've come up with where we've got your city down to a T, as in Tennent's tea. So anyway, I like it, and there's connections to Facebook pages. There's the celebrity kind of promotion.
Yep.
The JiWire location-based ad, through a news app.
They call it an all-out. This is like an all-out marketing blitz for this, and I think it shows. Here's a perfect example that they have to do that. It shows that you can't just do one. You can't just do social media or location based. You still have to tie it into some kind of social thing or some kind of tie into real terrestrial radio or broadcasting. Yeah. It's just one piece of it that makes it that complements it, that pushes it over the edge.
No, it's cool. And I was just thinking I think the next Commonwealth Games is actually in I think it's in Glasgow. So this might be good testing ground for location-based ads with athletes and celebrities and
finding beer,
right?
I think it's perfect.
It could be good. So anyway, I think that's in 2014 if I recall.
They tie this together with merchandise, right? So I like that piece to it as well. So that when you walk in, you actually know where to get these glasses, right? These Tennent's glasses, and I think that this is something that there's got to be a reason. There's got to be a reason that I want to find that beer.
Yeah.
I'm Canadian, just like the Scots.
It's a full-on media partnership across the board, including TV commercials and everything. So
good job.
I like it.
Go Scotland.
Go Scotland.
Third story. Talk about this. DDR is I guess a management company that owns a bunch of shopping malls, and they partner with PlaceCast for this thing called ValuText, which is what?
Well, I mean,
is any of that right?
It's basically what the name implies. I mean, it's the standard PlaceCast system that we've talked about over and over again. Pushing offers, deals over SMS. Reaches a lot of people because you don't have to worry about an app install or getting people exposed to a mobile app
or even a smartphone.
I like this in a shopping mall environment or a smartphone. That's right. Which is 92% of the U.S. market is mobile phones, right? So that aren't necessarily smartphones. So it's it has huge reach potential. I think the interesting thing here is DDR owns, from what I read, 27 open air malls. I'm reading here 16 markets that they hit. For me, the interesting thing is that it's the management company that's done this deal with PlaceCast for all of their malls, as opposed to some third-party service provider coming in and saying, we're going to work with DDR, we're going to work with this other shopping mall management company, and we're going to work with these guys. They've kind of gone out and done it on their own. So we'll see whether that what I don't get is, beyond your 27 malls, do you need a whole platform service called ValuText? Do you need to build a brand around it? I guess is what I'm getting at.
It's just a service.
Yeah.
Right. And quite frankly, it doesn't fit well with property management and location management as much as it does, as you said, around a couponing company like coupons.com or something like that. Yeah. It surprises me that those guys, you're right, that those guys didn't do it, but that DDR did.
There's ShopText and there's all these other ones out there, right? So I'm a little unless they're diversifying their service offerings and they're gonna start to provide this as a service to other shopping mall owner companies, then okay, maybe, but I can't speak to that.
So the idea is that this is not a location. It is a location, but it isn't. But you text whatever shop to a certain number, and then you get coupons for that mall based on your location. Is that it's not a GPS triangulation? It's got to be a cellular triangulation then if you're using a feature phone?
Right, it uses the cell tower triangulation. Yeah.
Well, yeah, I think this is great. And it just shows you that all of a sudden, it comes back to that thing, is that these coupons and all these coupons, they say it's like, it's cheaper than Groupon, but it's not Groupon. It's a coupon equivalent. The way they position this is improperly. But I got to tell you that it just shows you that within a very short period of time, these coupons and these coupon services have become dial tone, right? There's just another add-on. It's a throw-on. It's like when you negotiate your lease at a mall, you're going to negotiate the rights to do this couponing over a period of time. And companies that are making a living off of this will eventually disappear because of the carriers, because of companies like DDR, the property management companies. All of a sudden, it's not a business model anymore, and neither is Groupon, right? So the more that this kind of stuff chips away and the easier it becomes to roll these services out, if DDR can roll out its own product around and service on PlaceCast, then it's dial tone to me. And it's not a value, it's not a place that I'd like to be as a business.
No, I completely agree with that, and that's why I question whether this makes sense for them to do their own as opposed to just tagging onto one of the other 15 100 providers of
15. It's like 7,000
services and apps out there. So, anyways, but
it's good. I mean, it just shows.
See what happens, and who knows? Maybe they will start providing this as a service to other mall owner operators.
DDR. If any of you have used it, I think it's launched. Let us know. I'd love to hear how that rolls out for you. If you've gotten actually any good deals, especially around the holidays. Fourth story. A great company. I interviewed one of the co-founders, Martine Lenz Fitzgerald. This is a company called Layar, and they released the best named product, I think, of 2011.
I agree. I said it to you before we started. I love the name. Stiktu. So, augmented reality is one of those things that, for the most part hasn't caught on with the general consumer public yet. I mean, there's some good experiments going on. Gold Run, we've talked about them. They're doing some great stuff with retailers. Like
Can I just say something on that? Is that I just saw in the New York Times this week the article about those guys, about how you can place your TV, you can see what your TV is going to look like inside of your house before you buy the TV. Yeah. This week, Asif, and we did that on episode 38.
Yeah.
That's why you got to listen to us every week, because that stuff...
We are in the know.
We just look at that. Okay? That is old news to us. And it would be old news to you, too. You could look at that New York Times article and scoff next time. Sorry. Back to Layar.
Well, we know where the Times got their source. Come on now.
Exactly.
Anyways, yeah.
We're on to you, New York Times.
Anyways, Layar put out this product called Stiktu. So the name is great, first of all, and the idea here is they're basically trying to make augmented reality fun for the average consumer and useful in some respects. And the easiest way I can describe this is, as the name implies, it's like an augmented reality Post-it note.
Yep.
Okay, that's effectively what they're doing here. Is so you can just take your phone with this app on it, and anything around you, any product, any whatever that you can take a picture of effectively. So I take a picture of this coffee cup right here. And then with the augmented reality with the Stiktu app, basically I can add a Post-it note, an augmented reality or virtual Post-it note, let's call it, with any message or anything I want on top of this, and then I can send this augmented version of the photo with the Stiktu note on it to anybody I want. And so it gives you this ability to annotate, basically in an augmented way, anything, any image that's out there, and share it. I love it.
It's pretty incredible. Like we talked about, what was that company that became Turntable.fm?
Sticky Bits.
Yeah, Sticky Bits. I mean, something like that, really, where it's product based. You can rate anything you want. You can leave any comment you want, and anybody who's using their app looks at that product, recognizes that box or whatever it is that you've left your note on, will get to see that note if you make it open. And I think that's. I keep thinking, I think it's cool, and I love Layar. And when I sat down with Martin, probably early summer of 2011, he talked about some of these products that he was rolling out, and more consumer focused, more broad appeal, more alternative augmented reality. Like, it's not about popping up and games and all these kind of things popping out at you, or directions. It's about these kind of productive tools, and I like the fact that they're testing here. But I still think if you really want augmented reality to catch on, remember those swizzle pens like this, where if you turn it upside down, the clothes came off, and you turn it back on and the clothes came. I think that if you just did that in augmented reality, I think that it would be a success, right? When in doubt, remove clothes, right?
There you go.
No, I've taken this to a whole new level.
Start taking off the shirts now. Come on, let's go.
Yeah, exactly. So Layar releases Stiktu for consumers. You can check them out at layar.com. That's Layar. Layar. I'm not mispronouncing it.
Yeah, it's sort of, like, one last comment on it. When I read that story, it made me think about, my mind went to Broadcaster, because it's similar in terms of what it's trying to do, right? Where Broadcaster is about, leaving audio stories around places. This is really about, leaving visual notes, around things.
I like it.
It really is about annotating content of whatever type, and I think there's a whole, one of prediction show. One of the trends for 2012 is all about content annotation. There you go.
Well, you know what? I think we've covered all of our predictions for 2012.
Yeah. I got more, but we'll see.
You do?
Yeah.
Well, this is going to be a good show then. I've only got one, and I think I used it in episode 13 or something like that. So. That's pretty cool technology. We're gonna play around with it and see how it works. And if anybody, again, if you're using it, if you tried it out, if you work for Layar, if you're interested in coming on and letting us know about this, diving deep into it, reach out untether@gmail.com or asif@thelbmay.com. Fifth story. This could take a little while. My achy breaky heart. Don't break my heart. My achy breaky heart.
Something like that. Yeah.
Hallmark Channel using QR codes on a Billy Ray Cyrus Christmas special. This is a very significant story for me because it's Billy Ray Cyrus. He's like right after Springsteen.
So first of all, I must give kudos for this this partnership that we're about to talk about to a great guy out there, a guy named Tim Hayden, who runs marketing for a company called 44 Doors. And I had the pleasure of meeting Tim, just a phenomenal speaker, intellect in social media and technology, around the world. So another guy that you should be listening to his podcasts and other things out there. So Tim, there you go.
Do you have a plug for Tim's podcast? Do you know what it is?
I'll dig it up.
Okay.
And we'll share that. But anyhow, so Hallmark QR codes on TV. So everybody, you can't go through a Christmas without watching a Hallmark special, or at least being aware that they're out there. And they're the tear jerkers. This year it's Billy Ray Cyrus. Apparently, that's bringing everybody to tears.
Because the guy can't act.
That aside, they partnered up. Hallmark Channel partnered up with 44 Doors. And basically embedded QR codes into the actual show itself.
How did they do that?
So when the QR code showed up basically on the screen, and they gave you, what I liked about this is they didn't just like show up and then you were like, oh, where's my phone? Let me go grab it and I got to scan this thing. They basically gave you warning that this was going to be happening and to have your phones at the ready. Which I love because they're prepping their audience for meeting expectations.
Was it Billy Ray that was doing it? Hey y'all, get your old smartphones out there, y'all.
Yeah, and if you didn't have a QR code reader, you could also text to a short code. So they went to all audiences. It was iPhone, Android, and BlackBerry. It was ScanLife basically that they pushed around this and. Just an interesting way to drive some engagement. So they had some alerts telling you that this was coming. Get your smartphone ready. QR codes right in the show. And then basically driving to what you got by scanning was curated special content
and a new video by Billy Ray.
Yeah, video by Billy Ray. Yeah. And a music. I think it was a music download or something.
Yeah.
Some upcoming. Thing that hasn't been released yet. So, a good implementation, and well executed, I think, from what I can tell.
Well, I think that, we talk often about bridging that gap between the television set, this monstrous TV in front of you, and you on the couch. And although it's very close, there's a huge gap. There's a great big gap between us. So, I like the fact that they're doing this. I really do. My feeling about this, and I think that this is a stopgap technology in QR codes, and so I like the way that they've done this. But my feeling is that there's a lot of technology out there that exists today that could have done this much better. For example, Shazam for TV, Umami, these companies that are detecting what's on the television, or even the Toronto company that I've interviewed that allows you to check in to television shows, right?
Yeah. Well, there's the Get Glues and the Misos.
Yeah, Miso, that's it. And Get Glue. And I think that, there's probably a much more effective way. And unfortunately, like for this one, it's like, I look at it and say, this is technology for technology's sake. If you just allowed them to naturally at some point, at any point during that show, check in, you would get a much better sense of who they are, of what they are, what they're doing, when they're watching, how long they've watched. And if, like, I love the idea is that, you know, it's a 60-minute show, or this, maybe it's a 2-hour movie, is that if you check in different times throughout that 2-hour movie, you get different benefits, right? And you get that ingrained. So it's not about a lead up to one event. It's a bunch of smaller events along the continuum of the television show. And I think that that's how you gauge engagement, and you actually keep them there, because it is a Billy Ray Cyrus movie, right? So you need a reason to watch the whole thing.
Okay.
But you know, as you go through this process, you know, you start to assemble a profile of these people, because I think that even with QR codes, it's a great one-way engagement. Like, you know, I scan the QR code, you get a little bit of who I am, you know when I scanned it, you know where I'm from. But the flip side of it is that there's no social engagement. So there's no way for me to tell somebody that I'm watching, or that I got this, or, you know, I benefited from this, or I watched a Billy Ray Cyrus video. Or
there's got to be a social magnification sharing piece. So, you know, and again, it's a good experiment.
I agree.
I'm sure there's a lot they can add to it. They did have, it wasn't a single interaction point. I think they ran it 2 different codes, or there was 2 touch points anyways. Yeah. During
this is a good start. We're going to see much more of this in 2012 prediction show.
Yeah.
Prediction show.
Good one.
So Hallmark brings QR codes to the Billy Ray Cyrus movie. And you know what's great about it though is that it's not timed. So anybody who PVR'd it, like me, I can actually start to use this.
There you go.
Anyway. So those are the 5 stories. I did want to bring up.
I
wanted to bring up another story, which was an interesting one, which was. Did you hear about this? I just read about it today. I did a Daily Mobile Minute about it on Untether around VIX selling.
Yes.
Did you see this? This to me is so. It's the perfect example of location-based advertising and marketing, niche down. So. The story goes like this, and it'll be 2 seconds here. Humor me in this one, because I just love it. And when a company does this, I really appreciate this, is that they Google ran from 2003 to 2008. They ran basically a search on the searches around the flu, searches for flu or flu-like symptoms or anything like that. They went through Google. And then they married that data against the Center for Diseases in the States, and during the same time frame, and they created an algorithm that said basically when it hits this threshold of searches, there's an outbreak of influenza or flu virus in that area. So, and they mapped it out perfectly. So now they have this flu index. So they can tell you, based on the massive amount of data coming through Google, whether or not there's an influenza issue or a flu issue. And then, so what did VIX do? They're selling, digital thermometers. They started doing location-based advertising for those thermometers in the areas that are flagged as high probability of a flu epidemic or a pandemic going on site. And not only did they do that, they did it so that it's so targeted that it's within 2 miles of some place that sells that VIX electronic thermometer. So on Pandora and a bunch of other apps, if you launch it, it gives you your location. And you have to give up a little bit of data on these applications, but it'll target you, saying, listen, you're a person of this age, or you're a woman or a man of this age, and you have kids. Hey, a banner will come up and say, you're in the middle of a flu zone. Maybe you should go get this thermometer to just make sure everybody's fine.
Yeah, and I don't. When I saw the story, it was. I love that they're doing it. I mean, it's phenomenal targeting, but it's not new. In fact, Where around this time last year did a similar geo hyperlocal targeted down to, I don't know if it was 2 miles or what it was, but exact same thing, flu index, and I think it might have been. It wasn't thermometers with VIX. It was like Halls or something. Yeah. One of the cough candy companies, used it and pushed ads into the system, basically, in high index flu areas as well. So, it's a very good application.
But Asif, I think that's the point, is that people talk about location-based marketing and mobile advertising, mobile marketing, but I mean, if we go a year between these kinds of stories, we're not getting that message out enough. Right, that this is the value that this medium provides, and there are very few stories that are like this, and I think that's the challenge for next year, is that more stories like this about leveraging these technologies so that you can actually drive people to stores to buy product. I mean, ultimately, If it doesn't go ka-ching, it does not go anywhere. But those are the 5 stories plus my 5.5, my half story there on VIX.
There you go.
Brightkite shuts down. Tennent starts to use location services in JiWire in Scotland. DDR launches their ValuText product with PlaceCast. Layar releases Stiktu, and Hallmark brings QR code love to Billy Ray Cyrus movies. Great 5 stories. Can't believe that there's that many on a holiday week. It's crazy.
There you go. All right.
So let's talk about the product. I had a great opportunity to sit down with Eric Custer, who is a co-founder of a company called Zarly, late last week. And we're going to play a clip from that interview that I did with him for Untether.tv, where he explains what Zarly is. And, this is the darling, I think, of this kind of geolocation sales and services mobile application is the best way to describe it. And this story about the way that they were founded and formed is incredible. It starts off, they were going to help in Los Angeles at a startup weekend, and they got, he and a couple of guys, Eric and a couple of his friends got together and started talking, commiserating almost about the same issues, similar, common denominator around some of the things that were going wrong that they wanted help with. And then they were going to go and volunteer at this startup weekend, but they decided, hey, we're actually going to participate. So by the end of the weekend, they had a fully functional product of what has become Zarly. And lo and behold, the person that they were pitching to on the Sunday evening, doing their presentation demonstration, was Ashton Kutcher. That guy.
Yep.
And then 3 days later, these guys were fully employed, happily employed, but 3 days later, Ashton Kutcher invested in the company. 2 days after that, they quit their jobs. Now, they raised $14.1 million in October, have Meg Whitman on the board, and are flying right now, like, typical startup companies in this space. So I sat down with Eric Custer and take a listen to what these guys are doing. It's a pretty great story. I want to bring in Eric Custer, who is the COO and co-founder of this young company with an incredible amount of buzz. Certainly millions of dollars have gone through in transactions or gone through your service. You've raised a lot of money, acquired, certainly attracted some great board members, and at the same time are building a pretty substantial business, not just locally where you are in San Francisco, but across the nation, the United States. And expanding very quickly. So, Eric, really appreciate you coming on. Welcome, man. Welcome.
Thanks for having me. I'm glad you guys are talking. I'm glad you're talking about mobile because it really is. It's changing things in a big way.
Yeah, and I think that we are just starting to, graze the surface of the things that this industry that mobile is going to change in business and the way that we communicate, the way that we consume everything. And I think we're just beginning to understand just a little bit of what it is. Mm-hmm. And I know that the way that people work and the way that people buy stuff, that's where you guys play, and you change that. Your service changes that right away. And I think that these are the things that are so intriguing by it, because we've been doing this for so long the same way, and then all of a sudden a technology enables something like you guys are doing. So why don't you tell us what Zarly is, so for people who don't know?
Yeah, sure. I think you've kind of hit on a lot of the themes right there, is that what we're trying to really do is become the mobile marketplace. And I think that people are using their mobile phones very differently. And what we're trying to do is allow you to buy and sell in a unique way with people around you. So kind of to shortly explain what Zarly is if you've ever thought to yourself, I would pay blank for blank, then Zarly's for you. So if you've ever said, I would pay $50 for someone to clean my house after a party, or I would pay $1,000 for a room in New York City to stay with someone, or I would pay $50 to get backstage and meet the band at a concert, then that's what Zarly is. And on the flip side of that, it really becomes kind of the world's first marketplace for money. So you can suddenly see that someone's willing to pay, $100 for a Christmas T-shirt, Christmas sweater, a really ugly Christmas sweater for a party, which we actually saw. Or someone will pay you, $200 to basically hang up Christmas lights in their house. Whatever it is, that's what Zarly does for you. Is it allows you to, on one hand, say what you want, broadcast it to the community around you, and on the other hand, see what people are willing to pay money for and make money right ahead. So we're really trying to become the marketplace for people on the go, and I think that's what's exciting about mobile and about that combination of local and commerce, is that people really do want to buy and sell with people around them, and we're seeing some amazing stories result from that kind of power from the phone.
Well, I mean, it just seems like this is a logical piece, and oftentimes, you walk down the street and we live in silos, even in our own neighborhoods, and we don't know what is for sale, what isn't for sale. I've often driven by, somebody's garbage and thought, wow, that I'm going to take that, right? Not anymore, but at some point, as a starving student, you look at that and there's value to everything that people are throwing out. But that's the only way that you find out what they have. So a service like Zarly really opens up the kimono. It just says, here are the things that I'm looking for. Here are the things that I want. Here are the things that I have that I'm willing to part with. And here's even the neatest thing is, here's a skill that I have that I'm willing to share, and you hire me to do that skill. That's all done from a mobile device. It's pretty revolutionary.
Yeah, and we like to actually think about it, kind of some different terms. We call it, for the longest time, since basically since the dawn of time, we've really seen this where people are marketed to, so that you actually are kind of the passive buyer of things, right? You hear from Nike that you need to just do it and buy their shoes, or you hear from Nordstrom that you need to go buy their clothes, or McDonald's to buy their food. We've actually kind of flipped that on its head, where now you can actively say what you want to buy, and sellers can hear those requests or almost ads for things that you want to buy and do passive selling. So it's pretty magical. For example, at my house, I have a couch that we had sitting there, but we were looking to upgrade anyways. Someone in my neighborhood said that they were willing to pay $100 for a couch. We were going to pay for someone to take that couch away, and suddenly that had value. So to me, that was called passive selling, where I basically had something, saw that someone wanted it, was able to sell it. And I don't think that was possible before really the smartphone and geolocation, those kind of things that allow you to do this active buying and passive selling.
And that was Eric Custer, one of the co-founders of Zarly. I don't know about you, Asif. Have you used this tool?
I've used it when I've been traveling in the U.S. and played around with it at conferences and stuff. It's not available, unfortunately, yet in Canada. But it's phenomenal. I mean, it's talk about putting people back to work.
Well, that's the big thing here, is that these small, these companies like Zarly are changing the workforce, and underemployed or unemployed people using these tools, pretty cool. Anyways, The full interview, if you're interested in that thing, it's a great 50 minutes. I know it's a long commitment, but it's up on Untitled.tv. It's well worth listening to, because he's got some stellar stories about how people have used his tool in order to be able to get some work done or get back to work. So. That's Eric Custer. Really appreciate him letting us use that clip. Thanks, Eric. All right, let's talk about funding. We got three stories in the funding space, our resource, and then we are going to get drunk because it's holiday season.
Break out the eggnog.
Break out the eggnog. What do you think I've been drinking right here? Custom Untether mug.
All right, there you go.
All right, so the first funding, Citysourced, closes a small Series A of $1.33 million. What is Citysourced?
Citysourced is a location-based, well, they describe it as a civic engagement platform. So basically, it's all about empowering the people of a city to get involved in public safety and share problems with what's going on. In this manhole needs fixing, and environmental issues, and just participating in their city in a location-based mobile framework is the best way I can describe it. So, and they've got a lot of big cities that have been using this already. They've basically you can take photos or videos and annotate those things and add comments to them, or say this needs to get done. So it really is a civil engagement platform. It's iPhone, Android, Windows, and BlackBerry. So they've got all the platforms covered. Yeah.
I would guess that if the city was going to buy into this, they'd also have to have like a terrestrial phone line piece of it as well, because for a city you've got to be able to have you've got to serve everybody, right?
Right.
So my guess is our city, Ottawa, looked at doing this and integrating it right into their own app, and then they realized that they were about to elicit a whole bunch of people who are angry about potholes and stuff, and that's not a good thing to do.
No.
You want to separate that. So I like this idea of doing it as a separate company.
Yeah, no, I think it makes a lot of sense, and and again, it's kind of like back to my comment on the DDR thing. Like, I mean, do you want to do this just for yourself, or is it better to use somebody who can, look at shared experiences across multiple cities and learnings, that come with that. So, anyhow,
I love the data that they collect on this stuff, right?
Yeah.
So that's really the cool thing. So I like that. 1.3 million, 1.33 million.
There you go.
Second, it's an acquisition actually. LocationLabs buys Seeker Wireless.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. I mean, we talked about the last time we talked about LocationLabs on the show was when Apple came out with iOS 5, and we talked about this built-in ability to do family tracking and things like that. And that's kind of the business that LocationLabs has sort of been in control of for a while, anyways, with their Safely division. And so they've gone out now and bought this company, and sort of like a la Groupon in some respects, they're growing through acquisitions and in different geographic territories. So these guys are, I think, an Indian company that they've acquired. And the interesting thing for me, when I read this story, I hadn't realized up until I was looking into this the number of patents that LocationLabs now holds. These guys have just basically been piling up patents after patent. It's unbelievable. It's something like 73 granted or pending patents that they now hold.
All in
pretty amazing stuff for a company that's not been around that long. And this is their third acquisition now, just this year alone. So they're they're putting their money to good use. They're growing their patent war chest and getting ready to fight, I think, because there's going to be a lot of fighting going on in this particular space. I'm going to argue with the carriers and others that want to be here, but probably a good deal for them.
Well, that's good. No numbers released there?
No numbers. The only number I saw was that Seeker, the company being acquired, had previously raised $27 million.
Oh wow. So this is not this would be a significant acquisition.
Yeah.
All right. LocationLabs buys Seeker Wireless, and our last investment is Vic Singh's company, Trax, closes $1 million seed round, and they launched a new version of their product, I think, as well. So Trax.io. So talk about that.
Yeah, it's great that they've got some funding. I mean, I like Vic. Good guy, good track record there. These guys launched a TechCrunch Disrupt as well. I think in May, and then kind of put out their new version of the product. I think it was like end of September, October, somewhere around there. $1 million. They've got some good names that are participating in this round. I think the most significant thing here is that one of the angels is a guy named Alex Welch, who was one of the founders of PhotoBucket, which was sold for tons and tons of money. And what I'm worried about here is that how's Trax going to actually do? I mean, this is a crowded space already. We saw Color come in, raise a lot of money, and go nowhere. We saw a bunch of people come into this space, and they're trying to say. I mean, I read how they're kind of describing and positioning. So they describe Trax as I'm going to actually read their actual wording here. A micro-social network that enables groups of users to make a track of their vacation, making it simple to share photos, around a place and interact with them, and it spans a certain period of time. Haven't we heard this story from a company called Eve?
Yeah.
Isn't that what an Eve is? Isn't Eve a track?
Yeah.
I don't know. Now, I mean, there's always room for competition and growth, and so we'll see how these guys fare. But I'm not. I'm going to be the guy that says, I'm not sure this is going to fly.
Yeah, this is it's a shakedown year when it comes to photograph and path-like and track-like and Eve-like and certainly Instagram-like applications. I think we're coming to some kind of boiling point with this. What I like about Vic, I spent some time with him on Untether, interviewed him, and we talked really exclusively about how much his idea changed from the beginning and he realized that he needed to change it midway through. And you know, that's what I love about it, is that so maybe Trax doesn't win here, or this version of it.
No, but you got a guy at the helm who understands you know, how to read the market and adapt and move right with it. So you know, that's probably the saving grace here.
Yeah, and it's you know, UI UX. It's a beautiful application, and you know, hard earned. That $1 million hard earned. So kudos to Vic, and you know, I think that we'll let's keep this on the radar. We'll call that you know, the location-based marketing radar, and we'll see how things go as the year progresses.
Not the Foursquare
on Trax. Right. What's that?
Not Foursquare's radar.
No, not that.
Not that, but
I keep thinking that, you know, as an aside, we've talked about funding for quite some. Those are the three stores in funding. Citysourced gets $1 million and change. LocationLabs buys Seeker Wireless, and Trax gets $1 million. But we talk a lot about funding. You know, I always think that, remember back in the .com days, they had that site which was fuckedcompany.com, where it would be like, listen, all these stories that were coming down about you know, the insides of the battles that were going on in some of these .coms that were imploding, and you know, I wonder if we're at that time right now where we should be re-engaging that way when it comes to the mobile space, because I think this, you know, 2012 is going to be that year where it's going to be, you know, a lot of companies are going to disappear, and maybe whoever's out there who started Fuck Company will start it up again. I'm not saying that about Vic, but I'm saying that about just in general about what's going on. So those are the funding sources. Let's talk about it. We got a resource to go, and then I got some eggnog and rum to drink. What's this resource, Asif?
Break out the cake. Anyways, yeah, so Nellie Moser, great company, been around for a long time now in the mobile space. And they put out a little survey. They basically, what I like about it is they actually went into, you know, a physical mall environment and walked the mall and looked at the stores. And basically, we're trying to understand, you know, are retailers in shopping malls using QR codes? And how are they doing this? And what they did was they looked at 23 different store brands, and they found that 7.2% of the brands in the mall had at least one QR code going in some form or fashion.
7.2.
Yeah.
Okay.
7.2. That's what it says.
Yeah.
So that's 1 out of every 14 stores is how they describe that. The interesting thing is that these are standard QR codes. So anybody that they surveyed here had a 2D barcode, a Microsoft tag or a Snap tag or any of the kind of other more sophisticated QR codes out there.
Does that surprise you though?
It doesn't surprise me. I just, you know, it surprises me that you know, we're building these things, you know, for a world that might not come, and that we're, you know, we're still thinking that people are going to use them anyhow. Yeah. Well, you know,
it's kind of like a
no, I shouldn't be a Grinch. It's Christmas.
No. But it's kind of like probably not. I mean, they surveyed a lot of stores, and it's probably not the response that the QR fanatics want to hear, right? That despite everything that we see, there's QR codes everywhere. They're in every newspaper and every ad and everything that we do. In fact, I was at one of the big box retailers. I was at Best Buy or Future Shop this afternoon, and I was looking at a camera, and there was no price, so I had to scan a QR code. It took me to their ridiculous website that was not mobile optimized. It was a terrible experience. I couldn't find a price. It was a disaster. We're not using these effectively. So regardless of the fact that we talk a lot about these things, I don't think that this kind of survey, this outcome, 1 in every 14 stores, is a good news story this late into the game for QR codes.
No, but I do want to raise it because I think it's a valid sample that they've taken here. Like 5 major malls.
Absolutely.
This is all in the Boston, Massachusetts general area there. 5 major malls, 700 different retailers that they looked at. I mean, significant numbers. So and people always ask me about what's happening with QR codes. Are people using them? Are retailers using them? So here you go. Here's some data. But it's not really great data.
Yeah.
It's not necessarily, the data that you want to hear, as you say.
No, and it's not. And, I think that, people have spent 2011 talking about the growth in QR codes, in the scans. And when you start from a dead stop, you can go day after day and grow at 100%, and still the number isn't very significant. But it's a good size sample, and I think that it's every once in a while we have to just kind of bring it back down to reality and say, listen, we're not quite there yet. Right. And I think that by the time we get into 13 out of 14 stores, there's going to be another technology that comes along. Maybe it's NFC, maybe it's something else, maybe it's augmented reality, maybe it's just location awareness, maybe it's something. Yep. But I would have expected QR code adoption to be much, much greater, and much, much more in use than they actually are, based on the hype that we see around QR codes.
I agree, but
it's good. So I'll
is.
include that Nellie Moser's study on QR codes in retail stores. The link is, if you're listening to this or driving in your car, just go to nelliemoser.com and do a search there. That's NELLYMOSER.com. Or if you're happen to be on the website, any website, just the link is above here somewhere.
There you go.
Over there. That's it. Asif, we got nothing left.
We're done.
Except to remind everybody that our next episode is just going to be chock full of the best, the worst of 2011, and a little bit of thought-provoking, not predictions, because I hate predictions, but how 2012 may shape up in this space. Companies to watch, people to watch, companies not to watch, companies to invest in. No, just joking. But that's coming up, and it will be posted on the regular slot January 3rd of 2012, if you can believe it. So this will be our last kind of news story for the year, and next week we will be at it again, but with our prediction show. It's going to be a good one.
Excellent.
It is going to be a good one. Asif, by the time you've watched this, everybody, we would have had a Merry Christmas and a great Boxing Day. And I'll look forward to seeing you next week for the prediction show.
Yeah, thanks, Rob. Same to you and your family. And let's hopefully we might get a little bit of snow just for Christmas morning. That'd be good. Just a touch.
Just a touch, and then let it wash away.
It's a little too warm and green out there, for Canada.
Yeah.
Anyhow, have a great. Hope everyone's had a great Christmas, and looking forward to a great 2012. And thanks for watching.
We'll see you guys on episode number 58. Thanks, Asif.